Welcome. This is Brian Wood, Medical Director for the Mountain West AETC Project Echo Telehealth Program. Each of our weekly sessions starts with a short talk focused on issues relevant to HIV clinical medicine. The following talk was recorded live here at University of Washington. We will now take you to this week's talk.
Thanks everybody for making time. I promise nothing definitive whatsoever, but I think it's a topic that comes up a lot in clinic. It comes up in conversations with patients in my clinic weekly, and I've been paying attention to the topic because I think it's important to patients and because I think understanding and doing what we can to prevent long-term cardiometabolic comorbidities is really important to HIV primary care. So I'm going to give you an update. I think the overall understanding on this topic has evolved. My understanding has certainly evolved. I'm going to ask you to weigh in. I really want to hear your opinion. There are a lot of outstanding questions. I would love to hear your experience in clinic with weight trajectories with ART, and then also what happens switching ART and how you're addressing this and counseling patients. I want to be 100% clear that I have no financial conflicts of interest. I'm going to talk about meds. I have no vested interest in any particular med. I'd like to acknowledge our funder, and I will do my best to avoid trade names. And Jessica, if you don't mind pulling this up, I'd like everyone just to weigh in. What is your impression? I do not think there is a crystal clear right answer to this. What is your impression? Don't get bogged down in the semantics. Do integrase inhibitors like dolutegravir or bictegravir cause weight gain? Are the meds themselves responsible? Do they directly cause or trigger or stimulate weight gain? Yes or no? Take a few seconds. There is no crystal clear right answer. Let me know what you think. All right, we did not plant that. That is the true response, 50-50. Thank you, everyone. Let's go to this one. Same question. Does TAF, the NRTI, directly cause or stimulate or trigger weight gain in some way? Yes or no? So pretty split down the middle. I think that's fascinating. Again, I don't think there is a definitive answer to these questions. I think understanding has evolved. I'm going to show you what I see as the latest data, the latest model for understanding weight change associated with ART. And I'm going to show you why, as the data has evolved, I think the answer to these questions is probably no. The meds are not directly stimulating weight gain. That's what I'm going to show you. Tell me whether you buy that or not at the end. Tell me whether you believe it. Tell me your experience in clinic. I'm going to give you a summary of my take first, then show you the data, then come back to this summary. So if you compare integrase inhibitors or TAF to older meds, the weight trajectories, the average weight trajectories tend to be different. That is absolutely true. That is clear in a number of studies. The question, though, is do the integrase inhibitors, do the TAF directly stimulate the weight gain, or is the explanation weight suppression in some way from the older meds? The million-dollar question here is what is causing that differential in weight trajectory with different meds or different classes of meds? I think there is a perception that integrase inhibitors and TAF are directly stimulating weight gain. That is not proven. And my impression as the data has evolved is that is seeming less and less likely to be true. I don't think TAF causes weight gain. And what I have seen both in the data and in clinic is that when you stop TAF, people do not lose weight. If TAF were causing weight gain, when we stopped it, they would lose. That does not happen in my experience in clinic. Do integrase inhibitors cause weight gain? I don't think so. When people switch off integrase inhibitors, they tend not to lose weight. I think the answer is probably no to integrase inhibitors causing weight gain as well. And I'm going to show you more. I think the biggest issue actually is weight and appetite suppression from older meds that we just don't fully understand. And so when you compare them, there is a differential. And when you make a switch, people can have weight gain in the first 6 to 12 months after the switch that tends to plateau. So let me dive into the data a little bit. Then again, I would love to hear your impressions and your experience in clinic. So we saw this phase 3 study published in the New England Journal back in 2019. This just shows the differential. So this looked at initiating ART with either dolutegravir FTC TAF, dolutegravir FTC TDF, or Favrance FTC TDF. And there clearly is a difference. There clearly is a difference in the change in weight comparing regimens. The changes tend to be more pronounced in individuals born female. I do not think that has been fully explained, but clearly there's a difference when you compare TAF to TDF or when you compare dolutegravir to efavirenz. Again, the question becomes, is it dolutegravir and TAF stimulating weight gain, or are TDF and efavirenz suppressing weight gain in some way? Now, these investigators, following this trial, enrolled individuals to then switch to a regimen called TLD, which stands for TDF, lamivudine, dolutegravir, the most commonly used regimen around the world right now, recommended by the WHO. And it was really important to see what happened with a switch to TLD, or TDF, lamivudine, dolutegravir. So individuals from this trial, after 4 years, then all switched to dolutegravir, TDF, 3TC. You can see here what happened. So clearly, with a switch from efavirenz to dolutegravir, weight gain occurred. Not surprisingly, when switching what was basically an equivalent regimen, no change occurred. And then when switching from TAF to TDF, weight loss occurred. Again, the question becomes, why? I really like this analysis, which I have shared before, and I like it because it includes meds that are not included in a lot of studies on this topic. And I just want to show you here again, there is a differential. The question becomes why. So when looking at weight change over time, this is an analysis of pooled randomized controlled trials of initial ART. The overall number of participants was in the thousands. Clearly, there's a difference over time between integrase inhibitors versus protease inhibitors and NRTIs. Clearly, there's a difference in the integrase inhibitors comparing dolutegravir, bictegravir, and boosted L-bictegravir. But then this gets talked about a lot less. There's also a difference between rilpivirine and efavirenz. And yes, we encourage taking rilpivirine with a meal. We encourage efavirenz on an empty stomach, but I don't think that is the explanation. And then here with the NRTIs, it is clearly much more complicated than one NRTI is causing weight gain. There is a higher trajectory with TAF compared to abacavir, compared to TDF, compared to zidovudine or AZT. So could an explanation be TAF is causing weight gain? It could be, or I think what is actually more plausible is that these older meds were suppressing appetite and suppressing weight in some way. When you switch one of these older meds to any of the newer agents, whether it's TAF or even abacavir, people tend to gain weight. So clearly there's a differential. The explanation is what I think is not fully understood and what people are still searching for. But this really nice review just came out recently, and so I want to share this. This is my recreation of some graphs from the study. This was led by David Wohl, and I really think it emphasizes that the explanation is not clearly TAF causes weight gain or integrase inhibitors cause weight gain. So let's take these studies one at a time. If you look at the blue bars first, this is from a study called Tango that enrolled people taking 3-drug ART with TAF, and half were randomized to stop the TAF and take dolutegravir lamivudine. So just stopping TAF. So again, if TAF caused weight gain, you would think this group that stopped TAF would lose weight. They didn't. So here's the group that stopped TAF. Here's the group that continued TAF. The group that stopped TAF did not consistently lose weight. That's been my experience in clinic as well. When people stop TAF and go to a 2-drug regimen, I do not consistently see weight loss. So that argues against TAF causing weight gain. Similar here in the SOLAR trial, where individuals enrolled taking BIC, TAF, FTC, and randomized to either continue that or switch to IM rilpivirine. Again, this group stopped TAF. This group continued TAF. This was a non-statistically significant difference. These are really small changes. Really, overall, the effect was neutral. And then in this trial, where individuals either continued BIC, TAF, FTC, or switched to doravirine, islatravir as 2-drug therapy. Again, here's a cohort that stopped TAF. They did not lose weight. So I just don't buy the explanation that TAF causes weight gain, because stopping TAF does not consistently lead to weight loss. That's what's seen in the studies, and that's what I've seen in clinic. Now, in this trial called SALSA, individuals enrolled taking 3-drug ART with either TAF or TDF. So that gives us a group that continued TDF and stopped TDF. It also gives us a group that continued TAF or stopped TAF. So here, I think this is really interesting. Here's what happened for weight in the group that continued TDF, and here's the group that stopped TDF. They actually gained weight. And I think that's been pretty consistent. When people stop TDF, they do tend to gain weight. Here are the individuals who continued TAF or stopped TAF, and there really was not much difference. So stopping TAF does not consistently lead to weight loss. If you are counseling someone in clinic and switching ART and they're stopping TAF, I would not promise them in any way that they are going to lose weight. I do think that stopping TDF can lead to weight gain. Now, what I'm not showing you here, if people switch from TAF to TDF, that may lead to weight loss. Again, I suspect that something is going on with the TDF as opposed to something going on with the TAF. We can also look at PrEP trials. Again, this is a recreation from David Wall and colleagues' review. We also can look at PrEP trials to get some insights. So again, let's just take these one color at a time. So in the blue bars, TDF compared to placebo, those in the TDF arm gained slightly less weight, though the overall difference wasn't dramatic. In Discover, comparing TDF to TAF, again, less weight gain with TDF. And then comparing the integrase inhibitor cabotegravir to placebo, there really was no difference. And comparing cabotegravir to TDF, the TDF, individuals in the TDF arm lost a lot more weight as compared to individuals in the CAB arm. So again, I don't think the evidence is clear that integrase inhibitors clearly stimulate weight gain. There also was a meta-analysis of PrEP trials that found TDF was associated with weight loss. If this is a topic relevant to you, I'd encourage you to look at it. There's some interesting findings there, but for time, I'll leave it at that. And then last year, this came out, which just made me kind of scratch my head. So Scott Latondra and the team at UCSD did this study where they enrolled 191 individuals suppressed on ART and randomized them to add one of these three combinations you can see in the bullets here: dolutegravir maraviroc, dolutegravir placebo, or a dual placebo. Their goal was to see if intensifying ART, if adding ART led to cognitive improvements. That result was no, there really was no difference in cognitive outcomes based on continuing baseline ART or intensifying. But then also they compared weight change over time, looking at dolutegravir versus the placebo arm. You can see dolutegravir here in blue, and you can see the placebo arm here in green. This is the first we have that is integrase inhibitor versus placebo in HIV treatment, looking at weight change. And the dolutegravir did not clearly stimulate weight gain. If anything, the group that got placebo gained more weight. Again, what I'm trying to say is I do not think it is clear or consistent that integrase inhibitors stimulate weight gain. I think there's clearly a differential when you compare integrase inhibitors to efavirenz or to some of the older boosted protease inhibitors, but I don't think we can clearly say integrase inhibitors are causing that weight gain. The other thing we cannot say is that switching off an integrase inhibitor leads to weight loss, and that's been seen now in a couple trials. There's another ongoing trial that looked at switching integrase to doravirine. I'm eager to see that data. Maybe it will totally, turn everything on its head again. Maybe integrase inhibitor doravirine will lead to consistent weight loss. I don't know. I'm skeptical that it will, but I'm eager to see that data. In this study, which we saw last year at IAS, switching an integrase inhibitor to boosted darunavir did not lead to weight loss. Again, if the integrase inhibitor were consistently causing weight gain, you would think that switch would lead to weight loss. It did not. Now, one thing I would like to know is if integrase inhibitors are stimulating weight gain, what is the mechanism? I think that's important to know. And Greg Hune from Rush in Chicago and I just wrote this paper and just said, hey, what could the mechanisms be? What's been described? What's in the literature? What could be going on here? And why is it important to know? I think it's pretty clear starting up here that if individuals are taking TDF or efavirenz or other older agents, that seems to suppress weight in some way. And then after an ART switch to newer agents, there may be a period of weight gain for half a year, for some individuals a bit longer, and it tends to plateau. But then again, what is really unclear is could integrase inhibitors be stimulating weight gain? We described several mechanisms that have been studied in lab studies, but none of these proven. Maybe one day one of them will be proven. Maybe I'll be coming back to tell you that, look, yes, it's been discovered integrase inhibitors are clearly stimulating weight gain, but that is not proven to date. And my experience in clinic helping people talk about their weight and their comorbidities and how we can help is that when it comes up that we switch an integrase inhibitor to something else, that does not consistently seem to lead to weight loss. Again, I want to hear your opinions and experience as well. Similarly, what could the mechanism for TDF causing weight loss be? I thought this was really interesting. This was just at CROI in March. So these investigators enrolled people with HIV taking either TDF or TAF, 12 in either arm, and then they did biopsies of the proximal and distal duodenum and did some sophisticated tests to look at the enterocytes and the villi and look for damage, and they looked under the microscope, and there clearly was a difference. If you biopsy the duodenum and look at TDF versus TAF, it looks different. There was a lot more villus damage. There's a lot more enterocyte damage with the TDF. So they proposed that this could be the mechanism by which TDF suppresses appetite, weight gain, maybe causes nausea and vomiting, which we do see in the occasional person taking TDF, and we tend not to see in individuals taking TAF. This is a model proposed again by David Wall and colleagues that I think is really interesting. I want to know your opinion on this. So when individuals with HIV start ART, they do tend to gain weight. There's a degree of return to health once you suppress the virus, suppress all that catabolism that's happening from the body trying to fight the virus itself. There are individual factors that may enhance the amount of weight gain that occurs. There are individual factors that may attenuate that weight. And then again, as the data has evolved, I think there's been a lot of concern that these drugs are directly stimulating weight gain. I think it's turning out that they're probably more neutral, and the older meds probably attenuated or prevented or suppressed appetite and weight in ways that we still don't fully understand. So this is a model just proposed. This came out in CID a couple months ago. I thought it was super interesting. I'll just add that the other part of this controversy is whether integrase inhibitors lead to higher rates of diabetes or major adverse cardiovascular events or other cardiometabolic comorbidities. There's been a lot of controversy. Findings are highly discrepant. In this, what I think is the best done study, because they were able to control for a much higher number of confounders than other studies, there was no difference over time in those individuals who took integrase inhibitors compared to other agents in the rate of major adverse cardiovascular outcomes. So jury is still out a bit on this, but I think that we are learning that over time, integrase inhibitors probably do not raise the risk of cardiovascular events as was feared. We need a lot more data on these things. Again, this is not definitive, but I think this is the current state of the science and state of understanding. And so I just wanted to share this with you. So again, coming back to my interpretation, is there a difference between expected weight gain when you compare integrase inhibitors to other classes? Definitely yes. Are the integrase inhibitors directly causing the weight gain? I think probably not, is what we're learning. I think the biggest issue is switching from efavirenz and other old meds to dolutegravir and bictegravir, but I do want to see more study of potential mechanisms of the integrase inhibitors and weight, and maybe I will be telling you something different next year. It's certainly evolving. Is there a difference between expected weight gain comparing TAF to other NRTIs? Yes. Is TAF directly causing the weight gain? I really don't think so. I think the issue is the older NRTIs and the switch we make. And finally, what we're left with is how do we help someone who has started ART or switched ART and for whatever reason is experiencing weight gain, is experiencing new cardiometabolic comorbidities. Again, this comes up in clinic. I've struggled with it. I'd love to know what you do. I mean, there certainly are the tried and true things that we encourage, like seeing nutrition and trying to develop an exercise program and trying to get more active and trying to burn more calories. I always take a look at the med list and look for other meds that could be contributing to the weight gain. But this third bullet, should ART be changed? I really don't know. I hesitate to do that. The times where I've gotten to that point in clinic and really been pushed to change ART because of weight, I've yet to see a case where it really led to significant weight loss or significant benefit. I would love to hear what you've seen. And then, of course, there's the million-dollar question these days of should we be pushing for weight loss meds, especially the ones that are in short supply and can be tough to get through insurance, but may have benefits, or what other strategies should we be considering?
Thank you for watching this edition of the Mountain West AETC Project Echo Didactic Series. If you like this talk, please click the red subscribe button and please check out other talks in our series. Until next time, this is Brian Wood, Medical Director, signing off.